Hi, I'm Chris.
And I'm Lisa.
And we're in Tokyo! These past few weeks we've been checking out Japan by train. You've already seen Osaka and Nara, and in this episode we focus on Hiroshima, Kyoto and Tokyo. Get ready to jump into the world of ancient traditions and futuristic technology. We're about to embark on a wild ride across the land of the rising sun. Welcome to Tokyo, the most populated city in the world. We stumbled out into the 36-degree heat and we found this beautiful square. Not knowing where to go or what to do, we headed to the nearest huge Tokyo electronics store because we thought it'd be a laugh.
What are you looking at?
Oh, the same girl from earlier. She's telling me a story. I don't understand.
Most things in Japanese electronic stores have a demo that you can play with. This is insane.
What are you doing?
I'm playing a video game. This 7-story electronics store really put our European equivalents to shame. Okay, enough messing around. Time to get onto the subway and head to our hotel so we can check in. The train was absolutely rammed full as it was rush hour in Tokyo, which we should have anticipated. Before we knew it, we're at our hotel, ready to go up onto the roof and check out the views. The huge purple tower is Tokyo Skytree, and the small golden turd is the Asahi headquarters, which is a beer company here in Japan. The language barrier here in Japan is pretty intense when it comes to catching trains. We'd be pretty lost if not for apps like Google Maps, and the best app ever when it comes to JR Pass, Navitime. This app tells you which lines are JR and which ones are private companies. Our plan for today was to head to the base of Mount Fuji, somewhere I've always wanted to see.
Typhoon Nanmadol, now named Josie, has entered the Philippine area of responsibility and may intensify into a super typhoon.
And as you can see, I picked the only rainy day on our entire trip to do that.
So Lisa and I are on the south bank of Lake Ashi, near Hakone, which has a distant view of Mount Fuji. It's a bit cloudy today, but if we don't try, then we'll never know. And it's the only day that we can make this work as well. Currently we're walking into a viewpoint area. We might get that view that we're looking for. Our plan is to walk to here, where there's a viewpoint. And Fuji is round that corner there. So we're hoping to catch a glimpse. Clouds are lifting, even though you saw some lightning just then. But over there, they're still very low hanging.
Honestly, the whole time we've been in Japan so far, I've been wanting to get out of the cities and into nature. But having only 2 weeks, it's hard to prioritise that. So being here, even on a cloudy, rainy day, was absolutely amazing and I loved it. Lisa's in such a good mood because she got to spend the morning with 2 capybaras. Go check out the video, linked in the description.
Oh, he loves it.
Oh, he's making noises.
Up a bit higher, down a bit, angle it a bit. Okay, there's Mount Fuji. Right about there somewhere. Can you see it? No, we can't see it either. But it's there somewhere. I'll zoom in, maybe that helps. There, see, look, clear as day. I think I'll just draw it on and paint.
Even though we were unlucky with the weather, the view here is supposed to be amazing. And this place is beautiful and only 2 or 3 hours outside of Tokyo by train, so I would recommend visiting.
It's a bloody pirate ship.
We took a bus ride back through the twisty mountains to Odawara, where we caught our train back to Tokyo. The cleanliness and the awesomeness of some of these underground metro trains is unbelievable. I've never seen anything like this in any other city I've travelled. The next day we went to Shibuya district of Tokyo, which is arguably the youth heart and soul of the city. This shot is inside a pachinko hall. Pachinko is a very niche Japanese type of gambling where they use small metal balls instead of coins. Unfortunately, I wasn't allowed to film here.
Run! It's Godzilla! It looks like Godzilla, but due to international copyright laws, it's not.
This day was an absolute scorcher, 36 degrees yet again, but we sucked it up and went for a walk around the area because we really wanted to see what Tokyo had to offer. It's extremely popular in Japan for locals to use umbrellas to shade themselves from the sun. This is Shibuya Scramble Crossing, and it's the busiest pedestrian crossing in the whole world, and it's been known to have 3,000 people crossing at any one time. Crazy. Over here is where we met Philip, Lisa's cousin, who we last saw 5 years ago in Melbourne, and who now lives in Tokyo. Phil took us to an amazing lookout spot 39 stories above Tokyo. Tokyo is a city of 37 million people. It's the biggest city, or the most inhabited city, in the entire world, and it stretches all the way to the horizon for a full 360 degrees. Phil kindly invited us back to his house to meet his wife and to have sushi and some beers with him. Team Lab Planets is a facility that utilises digital art that we've been excited to visit for about the last 6 months.
Please take off your socks and tights in the locker area.
This isn't something I would be interested in usually, but just you wait until you see inside. This first exhibit was my highlight of the entire place. We used mirrored walls, floor, ceilings and LED light strips to flash in certain ways that trick your brain into thinking you're in some crazy three-dimensional space fantasy. I don't know, but it was awesome. Well, that was amazing. On to the next room. This next exhibit looked much better in real life than it does on screen. Basically, we were stood knee deep in cloudy white water with projections of koi fish all around us, and the koi fish would swim in patterns, and it was pretty cool actually, but it doesn't look as good as it did in real life on this stage. The next room was full of floating balls that would change colour with the lighting. It was pretty random, but modern art, isn't it? What do you expect, really? It looked pretty cool, to be fair. Bit random, though. This next room was absolutely wild. Basically, you had a mirrored floor that everyone would walk in on, sit in the middle of a room, and the room was a giant dome. And on the walls of the dome were projectors projecting an artificially generated image up onto the ceiling of leaves and plants and butterflies sort of falling down towards you. But it was completely immersive, and honestly, we spent a long time in here. It was awesome. There's also an app that you could download where you could click a button and send butterflies to the projection. The projection wasn't a pre-recorded one, it was artificially generated in real time on a computer, so you'd never ever see the same image as someone else. This place was totally immersive. We probably spent a good 20 minutes, half an hour in here. It was cool. The next exhibit is where Robot Godzilla lays his eggs. We didn't want to spend too long in here just in case one hatched. On to the next one.
Okay.
This final room was an interactive plant forest thing. Basically, there were sensors in the ceiling, and these plants would sense where you were, and they would open up a space for you to chill in, to sit in. The idea was to become one with the forest thing, with the mirrored floor. As you can hear, I'm not very good at explaining this, but basically, these plants moved up and down as you made your way through this room to allow you to have space to sit. This room was actually brilliant, and for me, it was a highlight. This isn't something we would normally do, but genuinely, we loved it. I would definitely recommend checking this place out. The cities here in Japan, even Tokyo, feel so unbelievably safe at night that it's really the best time to go for a walk, as the temperature's much cooler and the city looks amazing. The next day, we jumped on a Shinkansen bullet train and headed for Hiroshima. Hiroshima is somewhere that I've known about for all of my adult life, as it has such historical significance. The first place we visited was the Atom Bomb Museum, or as it's correctly called, Hiroshima Peace Memorial Museum. This place will bring a tear to the eye of even the most hardened person. This building was one of the only buildings to survive the blast.
Just looking at fans.
Hiroshima is fully recovered and is now an amazing city. Final stop is Kyoto. Kyoto is the original capital city of Japan before it was moved to Tokyo, and is the cultural hub of the country, with lots of old architecture and more temples than you can count. This is the bamboo forest and is just on the outskirts of Kyoto. This is a beautiful spot, however in hindsight, probably best to visit it in the morning or the evening to avoid the crowds and the heat. This is one of the many small temples dotted around this area. I didn't understand much about it as all the writing was in Japanese. However, I saw lots of people clapping and praying around it and writing small notes on wooden slates. I'm sure there's some significance in that, I just don't know what it is. And as much as I could quite easily Google it on my phone, I quite like the mystery of not quite knowing what's going on around you. Makes it more exciting for me. Before coming to Japan, I assumed kimonos was something that no one really wore anymore. Maybe it was like an old timely tradition thing, or something that you see in comic books. But genuinely, a lot of people wear them, and they look amazing. Most people wearing a kimono also have wooden sandals on as well, which clunk as they walk. Yeah, I've got no idea either. We jumped on the train and headed back to Kyoto City. This was something I was always excited to see. A fully blown Japanese arcade. Growing up by the seaside in England, I spent a lot of time in arcades as a kid, but nothing like this. People take these games very seriously and have become absolute masters on them. Walking around and people watching here is a must-do in Japan. Of the 4 cities we visited in Japan, each one of them had a shopping area exactly like this. Basically, it was an indoor/outdoor shopping strip with shops either side and some sort of a glass ceiling on the top. Although I've got to say, Kyoto probably does it best, with such old wooden style Japanese buildings everywhere. And with that comes an end to our 2 weeks in Japan. Japan has been an absolutely amazing country to us. It's somewhere that I've always wanted to visit, and it did not at all disappoint. I 100% am coming back here in the very near future. I've got so much more to see, especially in the north of the country. See you soon, Japan.